All right, something else I'm going to show you guys here in OBS to load up the news intro so that it can be played on school news. In OBS, you would be at the news intro source or scene. I'm sorry, the news intro scene. You would go over to the sources and click on the plus sign. Once you click on the plus sign, this will be a media source. So click on media source, give it a name. So I'm just going to call this Gina Irwin intro, like it's mine. Hit OK. And then you're going to browse for that intro. That intro should be in the special videos folder on the side, and then the news intros folder. Once it's in the news, or you're in the news intros folder, find your intro. Let's say I'm going to be putting in the Google Earth intro right here. Again, it shows a little preview of it. I think you can actually play that preview here, which is pretty cool. You can stop that, open it, and then come down and hit OK. Now, when you do that, you're going to see that it looks like this, and there's no sound. You can't hear it in the green room. So 2 things you're going to do. First, resize this so that it fills up most of that screen. I don't like the black up here or down here, but no black up there. So I'm going to just pull that down and make it kind of even. So we've got black on the top, black on the bottom. All right, I'm going to eyeball that once more just so it starts again. Okay, so it looks like the sound is actually playing. And yes, it would be playing for like the recording for news, but you can't hear it in the green room until you do this. Right-click on the speaker for that intro. Once you right-click on it, go down to Advanced Audio Properties. Once you're into Advanced Audio Properties, where it says the name of that intro, click on monitor off and change it to monitor and output. So what that means is it's going to be playing over the monitor, which is the computer that you're using. And then output is where it's going to be recorded to when you're recording news. So you want it on both of those. Make sure that you don't do monitor and output for microphone, because that's going to cause an echo in the green room. And you don't want that echo. Like whoever's talking in the microphone, it would be coming through the iMac monitor too. You don't want that. So again, make sure you're on the right name, the right file there. Close it up. I'm just going to turn these other intros off here because you don't really want more intros playing at one time. When I click on that, then that's playing here, and then the sound would be playing in the green room too, so you can hear it. When you're recording news, you might not want your intro to be blasted so loud, because what happens is the intro is really loud, and then the news broadcast is really low. So I usually lower these intros down a little bit, like down over here to yellow. Okay, so there's probably going to be times where we don't have the video on the computer in the green room, and you need to get it to that. So the first step you would need to do is pull it from Google Shared Drive onto the computer, and then from the green room computer, you put it into OBS. So there's a couple steps involved. The first thing you would do is go down to Finder in the green room, and then you would go to Google Drive, and then Shared Drives, and then digital media, and then final videos. Once you are in final videos, you're going to see I have appropriate folders organized. That's where I drop off all the files that have been turned into me. So we've been looking at the intros. We're going to look at something else now. We're going to look at this day in history. So I'm going to go into this day in history here, and you're going to see I have a lot of stuff there. I've been trying to organize it like the most recent ones that I just added, like any that I added today. I put new and then the date on there just so that we know which ones we've imported, which ones we haven't. So I'm going to go into new. And then what we need to do is we need to take this and put it into the this day in history on the iMac. So right here, we're looking at Google Drive. We cannot pull it from Google Drive to OBS because there's going to be some lag time involved with that, because Google Drive's, web-based, it's connected to the internet. So it's going to run a little bit slow and glitchy. So that's why we need to put this from the Google Drive to the iMac. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to drag it into this day in history. The This Day in History folder over here is that local folder on that computer. Local means it's connected to that computer. So once it is there, I'm going to click on This Day in History and see that March 20th video, and I need to put it in the appropriate scene and make it a source in OBS. So I'm going to go to This Day in History. And once I have it there, I'm going to go back to that Finder. And from this folder here, the local folder on that machine, I need to drag it over. Once I drag it over, it goes on top, but we need to do a couple things. We need to resize it, and then we need to get the sound to play. So one way to resize it is to do this. That works pretty well. Another way is to right click, go to transform, and then click to fit to screen. That guarantees it's going to stretch to fit that whole screen up. So we need to get the sound to play back. To get the sound to play back, if you right click anywhere in your audio mixer and you go to advanced audio properties, for that particular track, you would need to turn the audio monitoring to monitor an output. That will allow you to hear it play back in the green room, hear the sound as you're recording the news. Once you've done that, you would need to go over here and lock that into place. So I have everybody lock the files in place so that way we know that they're done. They're not going to accidentally get moved. The sound's been done. That's just kind of like our little record keeping system, so we know which files are ready and good to go. Now, because this puts the most recently added on top, we need to get that into order, because as you can see with our This Day in History files, we have everything going in order so that each day, boom, it's there and it's ready to go. So we would take March 20th and we would drag it after March 19th, and then we're set. So after we record news, what we typically do is we delete the file that we just played for that day. So if we just recorded news for March 18th, we would need to delete that so that way March 19th is on top. So to delete it, all you would do is click on it so it's highlighted in blue, go to the minus sign and remove it. But be careful that you do that, after news has been recorded, if you happen to be the one in the green room that day. If you're getting the news ready to be recorded that day and you're recording, for the next day, you'll know, hey, March 18th shouldn't be here and I need to delete it. So adding your intros is pretty much the same way. Earlier this morning, I just added this new intro. How I did that is I went into Finder. It happened to be in the downloads folder. And then once it was in the downloads folder, I moved it to the appropriate intro folder. Once it's in the appropriate intro folder, again, on the local folder on that Macintosh HD, then it can be dragged in. Now, this one looked a little bit different because it was filmed on an iPhone like this. So you are going to have those black bars along the side. My best suggestion is whenever you are resizing this and everything, just trying to fill the screen as best as possible like that. And if you see the whole audio track going in red, that's too much red. You want to drag it down. I'm going to hit the eyeball to make it start again. If it's just dipping into the red a little bit, that's kind of what you want to do. You don't want the audio to be in red the whole time, or it's going to be way too loud. Then you're not going to have a balanced newscast, because sometimes we have a really loud intro and then a very soft-spoken news broadcast. You don't want that. You want it to be leveled out from start to finish. So one more thing that I'm going to show you is how you can change the audio and the sound preferences in the audio mixer all at one time. What you would need to do is have a handful of these tracks actually turned on at once. Then when you right click anywhere on the audio mixer, you can go to advanced audio properties, and then you can go in for each one and change it to monitor and output all in one menu setting right there. So this is a lot quicker and easier than doing it individually one at a time. Likewise, you can resize these too as long as they are unlocked. So as you can see, I'm unlocking this just to show you. So what you would do is you'd click on the top one. You would hold down the shift key on your keyboard and then click on the bottom one. What that did is that highlighted all of those. So again, if those are all unlocked, you can edit the size of those at one time by right clicking, going to transform, fit to screen, and that will automatically stretch them out or resize them all at one time. This is very convenient and helpful when you are importing them in bulk. If you have more than one intro, more than one special video, more than one This Day in History that you're importing at once. Again, what you would want to do is turn off all the eyeballs. The only time the eyeball is on is when you're playing that one. And then once you have everything set into place, don't forget to lock it. Lock it is just, again, our way of knowing that somebody else took care of that file and that it is done and ready to go.